Joe and I have been working together since I was a junior. So the way how my master's started was I was working on bioreactor, detoxifying bioreactor for a little bit for my undergrad, and Joe thought, oh, it's a great idea to do a thesis. So we went on to do a bioreactor in my master's, and then the last year in my master's, he sent me to a class, the isotope geology, because there was some isotope data up near Duluth Cross River. We thought it was a good idea to work on that. And then after we worked on that, we thought it was interesting to do another thesis on isotopes. So it's kind of huge. So today my defense topic is hydrologic impact of tile drain landscape and isotope tracer analysis. To start with, I'm just going to put the goal up front so we're all clear what this is about. Water is a topic, a very heated topic worldwide, even on Mars. There are two big issues in water, water quantity and water quality. Most of our regions experience problem with one or both of them. And one of the most significant landscape features in the Midwestern Corn Belt is tile drain agricultural land. Drain tiles alter landscape drainage pattern by providing a subsurface pathway for water to move out of the landscape fast. And this altered hydrology will affect how water moves through the landscape, how long it stays in the landscape, so it affects both water quantity and water quality. And if we don't know hydrology, we don't know anything, so in order to understand how water moves through the tile drain landscape, we need to know the hydrologic impact of tile drains. So a little bit history about drain tiles. So historically, there's a lot of wetland in the area, and because of inundation, it's not suited for crop production. That's why the drain tiles were implemented to lower the water table, provide more ventilation in the field. Most of the drainage systems in the Midwestern wetlands occurred in the early 1900s, so we've had a long history of implementing all sorts of tiles. Started with clay, and then now it's HDPE. And the University Extension Service estimates that contractors are installing about 100 million feet of drain tiles annually, and a lot of them are not documented. So it's almost impossible for us to find a map of tiles in the landscape. And by installing tiles, probably a little bit light, but the picture on the top is a landscape with no tiles. So for the purpose of the presentation, I'm going to call it undrained, which is not as appropriate, but we'll just call it undrained field versus drained field. So by installing tiles, we lower the water table in the field, allow more infiltration. Just looking at the picture, kind of a theoretical impact. And the crop will get healthier due to the increased ventilation. So the transpiration could be increased, but evaporation is decreased due to the availability of water in the field itself. And because we lower the water table, there's less of the depth of the water column, so there's less water that's pushed through most likely the clay layer to allow percolation. So the percolation is reduced due to the tile drain systems. And because we provide a transport pathway, water is moved through the landscape a lot faster, which reduces the hydraulic residence time that allows contaminants to be removed, kind of going down the pathway. So this is kind of a water quality impacts. And in order to know what the real effects, so those are kind of the hypotheses, and in order to know what the real effects, we need to look at some data and modeling results. So one of the agricultural BMPs that was getting promoted is called control drainage. I kind of put those two pictures together. So for control drainage, you put like a outdoor drain control structure at the end of the tile line that you can raise. It functions like a weir. You can raise or lower the lawn to allow water to stay in the landscape for a longer period of time. And it helps to manage the stormwater content, and it helps with nutrient management to increase the hydrologic time. And also, in different literatures, people estimate that with the implementation of controlled drainage, it has the effect to reduce subsurface drainage by 10 to 40% and increase the surface runoff by 54 to 68%. So the objective of the study is to look at impact of tile drain and control drainage, hydrologic impacts, and in order to achieve that object, we will have kind of two separate analyses. One is to look at a tile drain field budget, field water budget. This is achieved through modeling and looking at field data, and the other part of this study is to investigate drainage landscape water characteristics, and this is achieved through isotope analysis. So for the first part of it, this is the conceptual water budget, and including a lot more processes that we will be using in this study. But the general idea is inflow equals outflow plus the change in the landscape storage. So this is the equation used in the study. So the change in the soil storage is VS/CT, that's soil moisture change, and P is represent precipitation. Tile flow is Q tile. It's also there's field measurements available. The two parameters that have no measurements available, including complete percolation rate and lateral flow. And there's another component, very important component, is evapotranspiration, which will be calculated using Penn-Teague method. And then so the equation below is for the UT calculation. They're mostly climate data, and there are two important factors. One is the crop coefficient, one is the water stress. So the water stress is using the soil moisture data that is measured, and the crop coefficient is assumption value based on risk value. So anything with a graph will have field data available. And the second part, we use Isotope to investigate drainage, tile drain landscape water characteristics. And there are two of those categories. One is using Isotope to look at event water hydrograph separation to understand what's the composition of stream flow. The other one is to look at water mean transit time at different level of the field. So to start with, it's kind of a simple definition of isotope. So isotope is ubiquitous, it's everywhere, it's the same element with different neutron numbers. So it's the same element with different weight. And specifically in water, there are two types of element, hydrogen and oxygen, each having 3 different types of isotopes. And in the study, hydrogen 2 and oxygen 18 is used. So for hydrogen, the most abundant, the most common is hydrogen 1, and 2 is also called deuterium. It's also a stable isotope. It's important to use stable isotope in this study because it's conservative tracer. And tritium is used a lot in groundwater age calculation. It's usually coupled with helium, which is only used if that's a radioactive isotope. And oxygen, so for oxygen 16 and 18, 16 is abundant, both 16 and 18 are stable isotopes, and oxygen 17 is unstable. So, couple uses for isotopes is kind of just a general introduction. So isotope can be used to look at both water quantity and water quality. By plotting isotope onto a graph, it will enable us to visualize, which I'll show in the next graph, the magnitude of evaporation to help us make decision on irrigation or other environmental impact of agriculture, and also conservative tracers have the advantage to not get affected by biogeochemical process such as nitrogen or phosphorus. On the water quality side, because we're able to use isotope to look at different sources of the end member, for example, stream water, so it helps us to pinpoint the pollutant source and help target and prioritize EMP implementations in the planning phase. And one of the most important graphs in isotope, which whenever you look at a water isotope study, they'll likely show this graph is called meteorologic water line. So meteorologic water line is established by looking at, so this outlet location is literally a representation of relative abundance or relative concentration of the isotope, which is not important, so you can just look at it as an isotope concentration. So the x-axis is oxygen 18 and the y-axis is hydrogen 2 deuterium. So globally, people collect rainfall precipitation water, which is also called meteorologic water. So it's either rainfall or snow, and plot them all on a line. And the GMWL, with the equation up there, is kind of a global average. It stands for global meteorologic water line. And most surface water are plotted around the line, and it could deviate onto the evaporation line or stay back. So evaporation line, that darker one, the further along you are with that line, onto that line, the more evaporation the residual water is experiencing, and the lighter one goes this way, on the opposite direction as the evaporation line is your water vapor concentrations. So the first sublittle category for isotope analysis is condensed hydrograph separation. It's a really simple concept. We pour two sources into one cup and whatever comes out is your end member. So this is the two-component end member mixing model. And so for this study, we'll be looking at stream water as the stream are coming out, and groundwater and tile water are the two sources. It has limitations because it's a two-member, and usually there are more source going into the stream, but so the way you determine how many components you can have is based on how many parameters you measure. So for the purpose of this, the reason we chose a two-component end-member mixing model is because we only have deuterium, oxygen, and hydrogen. So the second part in the method for isotope analyses is to calculate water mean transit time. You can ignore all the equation on that side if you're interested, I can explain, but that's for the lump parameter analyses. What's most important is this graph. So when precipitation hits a catchment or a landscape, it goes through the landscape through different transit time distributions. And then, so this is for the transit time distribution. It can move through different pore volumes. It can move through tile drain and move through everything and come out as the base flow. So the graph up there, like the sine wave graph, it's what the precipitation isotopic signature looks like. And in order for that signature to transit into the base flow signature, you go through this process, and what lump parameter analysis does is estimate this process in the center. And so after we look at all the components that we do in this analysis, we pull all the information together and kind of look at what's the impact of tile drain and what's going to happen if we implement control drainage. So to start with, as part of the method and the social start with the result, we can talk about our study areas. So we have 3 sites. One in South Dakota, Beardsford, South Dakota. It's in the Vermilion River watershed. And then the center one, Tracy, Minnesota. It's in the Conway River watershed. And Waseca, the Stewart River watershed. We have external fields in all 3 sites, and the rainfall pattern kind of gets wetter as we move to the east. And we also saw the rainfall depth increase when you go from Beardsford, South Dakota to Waseca, Minnesota. So this is what the field looks like in South Dakota. There are 6 parallel experimental plots. Due to the lack of field data in some of them, so we use number 1 on that and number 6 on this end with the most complete data set. And during the experiment, number 1 is the undrained field and number 6 is drained field. So in South Dakota, how they represent undrained field is up the end of the tile drain, so water gets cut in the field. This is Tracy, and there are 2 main fields. The red one is the west field, and the purple one's the east field. They're all tile drained. There's tile data on both fields. And for Waseca, there are 3 types of field. There's drained cropland, undrained, natural vegetation, and undrained cropland. There's soil moisture data in all of them as well. So it's kind of different condition in every site, but then we'll put the information together. So to start with the water budget result, I'd like to show this graph again, just kind of a reminder that there's precipitation from the weather station, flow is available, and most of the sites except for Waseca, which is unfortunate. And the soil moisture data is measured, and then the crop coefficient is an assumption. So first of all, I've been kind of trying to decide how to show the data because I have 3 sites and they're multiple. So I decided to kind of go through site to site and then kind of have a little summary at the end for each site of the portfolio together. So going from east to west, east is having the lowest precipitation. So this is the evapotranspiration graph modeled with Penman-Teeth method for Waseca. And the blue one is the drained field. The orange is undrained field, and the yellow one on the right side is perennial. So kind of from the summary, so that was collected in 2016 and 2017. The summary is kind of average of the annual total depth of evaporation. The drained field is 741 millimeters. Undrained field is less, 704 millimeters, and perennial is 836. So the perennial is kind of expected. Which is interesting is the undrained field in Waseca actually don't have any tiles within the field, and the reason why, so we want to look into why this undrained field actually have less evapotranspiration, because you think if there's no tile drain, you don't provide a subsurface flow, you could hold more water in the field that most of that transpiration will happen. So this is kind of small, but I really want to show all of it. So once we start looking at soil moisture data, so if you remember in this one of the factors, because this crop coefficient is extreme, so this is the same for this is the same for all the crops. So for drained and undrained cropland, this crop coefficient is going to be the same, but perennial vegetation is different. So then it comes down to, and this reference ET is the same because it's based on climate data, so it comes down to the soil moisture, which luckily we know data. And you probably can't see it very well, so the blue line in all the graphs is undrained, and the orange line is drained, and the green one is perennial. So this is the soil moisture data in different depths. So it has out here 20, 40, 60, 100, 150. 150 is actually below the tile line. The tile is at 4 foot, so about 120 centimeters, and that's the average. And unexpectedly, the undrained field soil moisture is actually lower than the drained. So this is just kind of presenting the result that we can have some discussion later on. And then Tracy said this is the evaporation, and the two fields, they're pretty comparable to each other. They're really close in evaporation. So that kind of proves that the soil moisture actually is valid. So is this 661 millimeters or was it 651, so only 10 millimeter difference. So Wasika didn't have this graph because Wasika didn't have any tile flow data available. So this graph shows kind of the water budget. I was trying to figure out a better way to show this, but it's kind of hard. So the blue line across is precipitation amount. The orange bar is tile flow. So there's some months that have no tile flow, some months that have a little more. And gray bar is evapotranspiration. And the change in soil moisture, there are some yellow ones you can see that it's below it because so the change is a monthly change. So you take the end of the month soil moisture minus the beginning of the month. So it could be negative or could be positive. So if you go back to the water balance equation of the two unknowns, percolation and lateral flow rate, move to one side of the equation and try to solve for those. Takes the precipitation minus tile flow minus ET and minus the change in the soil moisture. It's interestingly that some of the numbers are actually negative. So when it's positive, that means there's enough rainfall to support all the outflow to achieve the change in the soil moisture. When it's negative, if rainfall is the only input, that means there's not enough rainfall water to support all the outflow, which is interesting. And we'll look at the other field. So South Dakota, years 4. Same interesting habit that the drain field actually have experienced more of that perspiration than the on-drain field. The drain field has 765 millimeters, and the on-drain field has 674 millimeters. And we took the same procedure to investigate which parameter was determining it. Oops. That's my X, but I had that in there. So, in order to validate it, first of all, luckily there was another study actually did the same thing at the same site. So, this study in 2017 also calculated evapotranspiration in years for South Dakota. I think it's actually the same because it's like really close. It's about the same field. And they use mapping evapotranspiration and higher diffusion and internalized calibration. So it's based on Landsat imagery, and you can go through an algorithm and calculate evapotranspiration based on the energy of the landscape. And they actually modeled to have a similar result. So there are kind of bullet points that I'm summarizing, comparing the two studies. So from May through September, both studies kind of predicted ET values within a similar range of magnitude. So my highest, my axis goes from 0 to 200, this goes from 0 to 250, but I kind of line them up at 200 a little bit closer. And then both studies predicted greatest monthly ET occur in July. And it's interesting that both studies had observations or modeled result that drain field actually exceeding the undrained field in evaporation. So on that one, you can't see the clear bar is drain field. So the undrained is it's the one that was down. So in June and then September, the drain field both have higher evaporation than the undrained field. No, actually I was wrong. The other one is the reference ET, which you don't have to look at. It's the clear bar and the gray one. So in the summer months, in July and August, both of the undrained field is exceeding the drain field for evapotranspiration. One of the explanations that is plausible is that because you have healthier crops due to the ventilation provided by the tiles, so the healthier crop could have more transpiration in the growth, which could affect that as well. So, and we both kind of did a statistical analysis. So there's this greater than 0.05, meaning that it's not statistically different between the drain and undrained field transpiration. However, I did one on this 0.049, which kind of on the border of being statistically significant versus not significant at a 95% confidence interval. So South Dakota also have the soil moisture. So the averages in the center 6-inch, 18, 30, and 42. And so you can see in the graphs that at the beginning of the season, it's the same. The blue is undrained and the orange is drained. The undrained actually have a higher soil moisture, but the reason it's not shown in the evapotranspiration calculations because so during the times that the undrained is exceeding the drain, they're actually both above the field capacity, so there's no impact on the water stress factor. So when the soil moisture drops below the field capacity and starting to impact the evapotranspiration, that's when the undrained drops below the drain field. So that's why you saw in the evapotranspiration that undrained field exceeding the drain field again for evapotranspiration. So similar graph to pot. So one of them, of course, don't have tile because it's undrained, and that one has tile and we see a change in moisture, same plot. And if we look at the numbers calculated, there are negative numbers as well, meaning that precipitation doesn't, there's not enough precipitation to support all the outflow going on in the field. So to pull the first part of the study kind of together, looking at the water budget, there are a few conclusions, not discussion yet, that the soil moisture in the field above tile lines is higher than the undrained field. Precipitation could be one of the sources of input into the landscape. There could be other potential sources of water going to the land as well. So one of the things with these fields that is not an ideal situation is because between the plots there are no vertical blocks, so it allows lateral communication between the fields. So there could be lateral flow traveling between the fields that is kind of making this water balance a little tricky. Also, adjacent field drainage condition may affect the undrained field. So, for example, let's see that you're adjacent to a perennial, it might be perennials pulling water away from that due to the high evapotranspiration potential. So, jumping to the second part of this, this is just one of the maps that I found very interesting. So So this is the surface water isotopic concentration in the U.S. and we can look at that Minnesota around this region is roughly between -10 to -8 for oxygen 18 concentrations. So besides this, it's interesting we're kind of validating our isotope measurements as well. So before we look at any of the plots, I'd like to kind of have a little discussion on the precipitation data across the 3 sites. So you might notice in the graphs later on or not that the scale of axis is quite different. This is mostly due to the precipitation isotopic data. So if you look at the graph, the little blue line is North South Dakota. The orange axis Waseca, and the almost you can see Tracy is a little gray plus sign. So if you look at that graph distribution, Tracy and Waseca actually have a similar distribution from almost negative. So for oxygen 18 is almost from 0 to -22, and for hydrogen is almost 0 to -120. However, but if you look at the Beers score, little blue line, it extends way up there. Most it has more. There's more loss on the other side of the axis. This is likely due to what's called a rainout effect for isotope. For rainwater isotopes. So when the cloud forms of the ocean and move across a continent to a higher latitude, the heavier isotopes tend to get concentrated in the condensation, and rain is lost in the cloud through the rain effect. So as it moves further along, the cloud actually gets lighter and lighter. So for that rainfall pattern to look like that, it's likely therefore is getting the cloud from the lower latitude. So going from east to west again, Waseca, the level 1 points. The major field is located up north, where the 12-inch tile and the well is. And then there's also the Sioux River stream flow data collected, and there's also a 6-inch tile near the river, which we suspect is conveying groundwater, and we'll look at that in the data. So for Waseca site, this is the meteoric water line plot, and 4 of the sampling locations are plotted on it. So here's a pointer and it'll scatter at kind of the little circle around it. The light green one is a 12-inch tile. It's a contour grain tile. The 6-inch that we suspect groundwater is a little light pink. The river kind of crosses forward. It's the orange, and deep well is the deep red circle. So what's interesting about this is so if you look at where the deep well versus the 6-inch tile, the deep well is more clustered together because it doesn't, the groundwater doesn't daylight as often, it doesn't receive a lot of precipitation for the mix. But because the 6-inch tile, it could be conveying groundwater, so part of it has a similar signature and even more depleted. But it also gets shallower as the tile moves through, so you might you have a better chance to receive some precipitation water during the process, which makes the upper part of that big circle why it's heavier than the deep well signature. And the other interesting thing about this graph is actually it shows you how water moves into the tile. So some people believe that water precipitation hits the landscape and moves downward into the tile. However, so if you remember the graph I showed you before, the water will move through and raise the water table. That's how the water gets in the tile. And you can see that the tile the green one actually have a little bit overlap with the deep flow, meaning some of the tile water have the groundwater signature, isotopic signature, meaning that the water will rise upward and go into the tile. And the river kind of lies across. The river's going to have an input, so this one looks like the groundwater actually have a pretty big impact on the base flow. So the river has both groundwater signature, the 6-inch tile, and the 12-inch tile signature. However, we don't have the capacity to include any other sources, such as subsurface water. So we just had the groundwater and the tile for the separation. This is the result. On the days it's picked, there are no precipitation, so we eliminate surface runoff, or eliminate precipitation, direct precipitation on the river. So look at the two major sources of groundwater and tile. It turns out on average, 50% of the stream flow is from groundwater and 50% from the tile. So both of them have a huge impact on the stream flow. And this is the result from the long parameter analyses for the mean transit time. So I just want to mention that there's a difference. So some people may refer to as hydraulic residence time, but there's a difference between hydraulic residence time and mean transit time. So hydraulic residence time is how long the water stays in the system, and mean transit time means how long it takes the water to move out of the system. So if it's not out, it's not part of the mean transit time. So upon calculating the transit time, so it looks like it takes so for the transit time, we take the input as precipitation water. I mean, if you look at the well, 4.76 months means that it takes water 4.6 months to move through the landscape from precipitation all the way down to that level of the depth, which is 43 foot deep. And for tile, it could have part of the groundwater input, it could have part of the precipitation, so it kind of sits in the middle after about 3 months time. 6-inch tile, it's kind of the shallow groundwater is at 4.2 months, and the river is roughly at 3.76 months. So to kind of summarize that together, Wasika's data show that groundwater has a big impact on local hydrology, and tile flow contributing stream flow is 50%, and the graph explains how water moves the tile. And then moving west. For Tracy's side, there are more sampling locations. So on the far east, there's a drain tile that's being sampled. And then in the middle, there's a deep well, suction cup estimator and hydrometer. That samples a deeper level of groundwater and shallow groundwater. And then there's also a spot for a wetland sample. And then along the road, there's a spot for Conwood River stream water samples. So this is my favorite plot. It separates everything nicely on that graph, and you can also see that the blue dots representing wetland is deviating from this line, have more of the evaporative signature, and these wells as well sitting right down on the bottom, so if you move this way on the line, it's more depleted. This is because most of the deuterium oxygenation is replenished through precipitation. So the less you have in contact with precipitation, the more depleted these isotopes are going to be. So conventional tile, again, the gray one, extending in the center of deep well and subsurface water, which the yellow and purple is our hydrometer and estimator, and so is the river. So subsurface, shallow groundwater, deep groundwater, and tile both all have an impact on the river flow. However, we can still only have two component hydrograph separation. So, the results for hydrograph separation, this is not three components. The last day, it has groundwater because the groundwater is actually within the range. So the previous days, the groundwater is completely under the range for the separation. It's dragging the data, it's using the data way too far. So that's why I use that similar to look at the shallow groundwater. So it looks like groundwater doesn't have a huge impact on this landscape. It's only 1% from the days that we picked. And tidal flow is at 64%. And estimator representing shallow groundwater subsurface flow is around 35% of the impact on the stream flow. And this is the actually SWOT modeling result from Brendan Dell, who's a researcher at the University of Minnesota. Who's part of this research. And he did the SWOT model on contour watersheds, same location. And luckily they can include more components than me. So if you look at it, the groundwater, the deep purple, it's not the base flow, it's really small component. And tidal flow is super huge on the river impact, so which proves that the hydrograph separation is valid. And to look at the water mean transit time, this is another interesting graph. So even the deeper it gets, it should take water longer time to move over to the depth. However, that thermometer, second to last, is actually taking less time than tidal flow. So river in this graph is at 4.67, the estimator is at 2.9, tidal at 6, the water is 4.7, and the deep flow at 35 foot depth is at 15 months. So this is another point that gets jotted down with some very interesting. So to summarize what I just said, for Tracy's side, groundwater has less of an impact on local hydrology. So basically she just said wetland constantly have standing water, so every time the students go out to sample the wetland has standing water. And the landscape is really flat, so it's unlikely to only collect surface water and be able to sustain that standing water. So we think there's quite a bit of subsurface lateral flow that is feeding into the wetland. And because the wetland deviates so much from the deep well groundwater isotopic signature, it's unlikely the groundwater is falling into that. Tidal flow contribution to stream flow is 64%. So another master's student, Catherine, who did a similar study, not a similar study, but she did some hydrograph separation using nitrogen data. Who's observing the similar result May through July, around 50-60% of tidal flow flood into stream flow. And the limitation for a two-component mixing model, we cannot include more like SWOT. So there are some important components that's getting neglected. And the predominantly have shorter water mean transit time than the tidal. So the last sampling site, Beersford. There are a couple of sampling shown. Fields located on the east side of it. Vermilion River is sampled. There's another deep well sampled, shallow well, 1 foot below the tidal line. It's also sampled, and where the drain field is sampled as well over there. So South Dakota, the interesting thing is that all the data kind of plotted above the local meteoritic water line. So I forgot to mention that the dark line is the meteoritic water line for each location, and it's based on the local precipitation sampling. So it's important to use local meteoritic water line to compare your surface water samples versus global, because it's more localized, and that's where you source precipitation from. So all the surface water, all the water plots above the meteoritic water line, unlike the other site where it's kind of evenly distributed on both sides of the line. This is not commonly seen, but it could happen in drier regions. It's mostly caused by re-evaporation of precipitation. So when the rainfall is falling onto the landscape, there's due to the humidity of the local climate, there's water getting evaporated from evaporation. So that's kind of why this crossover event is not as important in this study. So if we look at deep well, again, deep well intersect with the Marion River plots. And the drained tile is, the tile drain plot is kind of similar to Tracy, that it deviates from that and moves up. It's more, it has more deuterium and oxygenating isotopes. So looking from that, the groundwater also have a pretty big impact on the river flow. So is the tile. So the hydrograph separation shows such similar results. So using groundwater and tile flow as an input for the in-member analyses, groundwater is composing on average to 33% and tile flow is 67%. So for the water main transit time, it's kind of a cleaner graph where river is at 4.27, tile is at 5.3, shallow well 1 foot below the tile is at 6.94 months, and then it takes water almost 10 months to move to the location of deep well. So to summarize the explored data, all samples plotted above. Local meteorologic water line could happen in low humidity regions, and groundwater has a big impact on local hydrology. Tile flow distribution to stream flow is 67%, and water in the shallow well and drain tile have a similar signature, and shallow well is 1 foot below the tile. So now we have kind of the conclusions, well, kind of the result from all of the studies that we went through and we're pulling together. There are a couple main points that there's also questions raised. So this is just a summary page of all the main points from all the studies. And then the question raised is that we want to increase soil moisture using controlled drainage, but why measure soil moisture is actually lower than on drained field, and why does the piezometer mean transit time longer than tile? Well, short answer is I don't know either, but well, because Veda's zone hydrology is really complicated, water can move through the landscape in different ways, but there are some plausible explanations that it's going to require future study to validate. So, I'm going to go graph. So if you look at the graphs on that site, there are two different porosities within the soil profile itself. So when the soil first was formed, so those are actually not like grains. So I'm trying to there's lots of soil formed with cracks in the center. So when it's initially formed, all the space between all the grains is called primary porosity, and then the crack between different two blocks of grain of soil is actually secondary porosity. Yeah, so this is really micro scale than what it looks like. So water moves through primary porosity and secondary porosity different ways. Secondary porosity is a lot faster. Water really just moves through that in a really short time. And primary porosity, water is most likely trapped in there unless there's a deep freeze or long-term inundation. Primary porosity water unlikely to drain out of the soil. So the soil moisture sensor sitting in the field is likely to be measuring primary porosity, and so the secondary porosity is likely to be neglected, at least some of them, by the soil moisture sensor. And the importance of the primary porosity is that for contaminant transport, it actually is more important because that's where most of the hydraulic resistance provided within soil profile. That's where the possible removal of contaminants, and that's where all the legacy pollutant is trapped, and when you inundate the field and water moves through, and that's where the contaminant is going to move through, get carried by the secondary porosity drains, and then move out of the landscape. And there's another way that water moves in the subsurface vagal zone, capillary trench. So if your water table is right here, the smaller the pore is, the easier for water to rise at a higher elevation than the secondary porosity. capacity. So with all those different ways that move through the native zone, it's really important to look at the data and understand what we're really sampling, what we're looking at, including the piezometer, lysimeter data, because lysimeter, actually there's a section applied on the sampler itself, so it's sucking more primary porosity. It could suck more primary porosity water out, and piezometer functions as well. And it's also interesting which part of the water is actually getting sampled in those wells piezometers. For the soil moisture, there could be lateral flow through either capillary fringe or through primary porosity that is not completely detected. That could be another reason other than the lateral flow communication across the field that is kind of wide in our drainage field is having a higher soil moisture in the drainage field. So to conclude the study, water enters the tile by the rising of water table, which is approved by all government, and field data indicate high soil moisture in drain field. That's why with the implementation of controlled drainage, it will require a lot more intense field monitoring to closely look at soil moisture within the field itself to understand the timing of release and timing of leaving the water in the field itself, and quantifying subsurface lateral flow will help explain. It adds another important piece to the local hydrology. And we should also really look at the impact of primary porosity and secondary porosity on water transport and contaminant transport. And that will conclude my my presentation. And acknowledgement, I'm really grateful for all my committee members, Joe, Jeff, Bruce, and Chris, in the support of this process. And my beloved undergrad assistant, who's not here, she's in Texas, Austin. Alex, she helped a lot. I couldn't have done this without her. And all the other researchers who I constantly harass and for getting me into this whole process. And everybody at Wang, thank you so much for putting up with me for the past 4 years. And thank you. Questions?